Before I share my story, let me ask you, what would you do if you found a second phone in your partner's car, and the first thing you saw on the screen made your hands shake? I thought I was just cleaning up after another busy week, helping my husband keep his life in order. But the day I found that phone, I realized I'd spent years ignoring the little signs that something was wrong. This isn't just a story about secrets or suspicion. It's about the moment you finally see what's been in front of you all along, and the courage it takes to face the truth, even when it means risking everything. So settle in, and if you've ever wondered what you'd do in my shoes, hit that subscribe button. Because what happened next changed not just my marriage, but the way I see myself forever. The day I found a second phone in my husband's car, I realized I'd spent my whole life believing love was enough to keep us safe. It started with a Saturday morning. Not the kind that comes with sunshine and pancakes, but the kind that's full of chores and errands and the quiet hum of a marriage that's grown comfortable, maybe a little too quiet. Tom was out running errands, and I decided to surprise him by cleaning his car. He'd been complaining about the mess for weeks, and I thought it would be a small kindness, a way to show I was still paying attention. I gathered my supplies, rags, cleaner, a trash bag, and headed out to the driveway. The car was just as bad as he'd said, coffee cups in the cup holders, receipts stuffed in the glove box, Lily's soccer cleats under the seat. I worked my way through the mess, humming to myself, feeling a small sense of satisfaction as the car slowly transformed. That's when I found it, a phone wedged between the seat and the console, hidden under a pile of napkins. It was Tom's usual phone. This one was older, heavier, with a cracked screen and a case I didn't recognize. I picked it up, my heart pounding. I told myself it was probably a work phone, a backup, something he'd forgotten to mention. But as I pressed the power button, the screen flickered to life. And that's when I saw it, the wallpaper photo. It was a picture of Tom, smiling, his arm around a woman I'd never seen before. She was younger, her hair long and dark, her eyes bright with laughter. They looked happy, comfortable, like a couple who'd known each other for years. I dropped the phone, my hands shaking, my breath coming in short, shallow bursts. I stood in the driveway, the phone at my feet, the world spinning around me. I thought about the years Tom and I had spent together, the laughter, the tears, the quiet comfort of shared routines. I thought about the little things I'd ignored, the late nights, the secretive phone calls, the way he flinched when I touched him. I realized then that sometimes, the people we trust most are the ones who keep the biggest secrets. And sometimes, the greatest act of love is listening to your own heart, even when it breaks. I picked up the phone, my hands trembling, and scrolled through the photos. There were dozens, Tom and the woman at restaurants, on the beach, in hotel rooms. There were messages, too intimate, affectionate, full of inside jokes and plans for the future. I felt sick, the truth settling over me like a cold wave. That night I tried to act normal. I made Tom's favorite dinner, set the table with candles, put on the dress he'd always said made me look beautiful. I smiled, laughed, tried to pretend everything was fine. But Tom was distant, distracted, his eyes never quite meeting mine. He ate quickly, barely tasting the food, then disappeared into the garage, saying he had work to do. I cleaned up alone, the house too quiet, the air heavy with things unsaid. After Lily went to bed, I sat on the porch, the stars bright above me, the air cool and sweet. I thought about the phone, about the secrets Tom was keeping, about the life I thought I knew. I realized then that sometimes, the hardest thing you can do is face the truth. And sometimes, the greatest act of love is refusing to let yourself be erased. If you've ever found something you weren't supposed to see, or if you want to see what happens when a woman finally trusts her instincts, don't forget to like and subscribe. And tell me in the comments, have you ever discovered a secret that changed everything? I read every story, and you never know who you might help by sharing. The next morning, I woke to the sound of Tom moving around the kitchen. I lay in bed for a long time, listening to the familiar clatter of mugs, the low hum of the radio, the soft shuffle of Tom's slippers on the tile. I thought about the phone, about the woman in the photo, about the life I thought I knew. I got up, made coffee, and sat at the kitchen table, my hands wrapped around the mug, my heart pounding. Tom barely looked at me as he poured himself a cup, his eyes fixed on his phone. "Did you sleep okay?" he asked, his voice casual. I shrugged, forcing a smile. "Not really, I had a lot on my mind." He grunted, his eyes never leaving the screen. I tried to go about my day as usual. I cleaned the house, did the laundry, watered the plants. I called Ruth, needing to hear her voice. "Anna, you sound tired," she said, her voice full of concern. I sighed, rubbing my temples. "I am, Ruth. Something's wrong with Tom. He's distant, distracted. I feel like I'm losing him." She was silent for a moment, then said, "Trust your instincts, Anna. You know him better than anyone. If something feels off, it probably is." I nodded, tears stinging my eyes. "I just wish I knew what to do." Ruth's voice was gentle. "Be patient. Watch. Listen. The truth always finds a way out." That afternoon, I went for a walk in the park, the air crisp and cool, the leaves just starting to turn. I watched the children playing on the swings, the couples strolling hand in hand, the old men playing chess under the trees. I thought about Tom, about the life we'd built, about the love we'd shared. I wondered when things had changed, when the distance had crept in, when the secrets had started. When I got home, I found Tom's phone on the kitchen counter, buzzing with a new message. I hesitated, my heart pounding, my hands shaking. I knew I shouldn't look, that trust was the foundation of any marriage. But the doubt was too strong, the fear too sharp. I picked up the phone, my breath catching in my throat. The message was from a number I didn't recognize. "Last night was amazing. Can't wait to see you again. M." I stared at the screen, my mind racing. I scrolled through the messages, my hands trembling. There were dozens, some short, some long, all intimate. Plans to meet, confessions of affection, inside jokes I didn't understand. I felt sick, the truth settling over me like a cold wave. That night, I tried to act normal. I made Tom's favorite dinner, set the table with candles, put on the dress he'd always said made me look beautiful. I smiled, laughed, tried to pretend everything was fine. But Tom was distant, distracted, his eyes never quite meeting mine. He ate quickly, barely tasting the food, then disappeared into the garage, saying he had work to do. I cleaned up alone, the house too quiet, the air heavy with things unsaid. After Lily went to bed, I sat on the porch, the stars bright above me, the air cool and sweet. I thought about the message on Tom's phone, about the secrets he was keeping, about the life I thought I knew. I realized then that sometimes, the people we trust most are the ones who keep the biggest secrets. And sometimes, the greatest act of love is listening to your own heart, even when it breaks. But the next day, the doubt grew heavier. I found myself watching Tom more closely. I noticed the way he avoided my eyes when I asked about work, the way he changed the subject when I mentioned the weekend, the way he always seemed to be in a hurry, always on his way somewhere else. I tried to tell myself it was just stress, that he was doing his best, that he'd come back to me as soon as things calmed down. But the ache in my chest grew heavier with every passing hour. One afternoon, I decided to surprise Tom at work. I baked a batch of his favorite cookies, wrapped them in a clean towel, and took the bus across town to his office. The building was newer than I remembered, the lobby full of people in suits, the air thick with the scent of coffee and perfume. I asked the receptionist if Tom was in, and she smiled, her eyes kind. "He's in a meeting right now, but you can wait in the lounge if you'd like." I nodded, taking a seat by the window, watching the city move outside. I thought about the years Tom and I had spent building our life together, the sacrifices we'd made, the love we'd shared. I wondered when things had changed, when the distance had crept in, when the secrets had started. After half an hour, Tom appeared, his face surprised to see me. "Anna, what are you doing here?" I smiled, holding out the cookies. "I thought you could use a treat. I was in the neighborhood." He hesitated, then took the cookies, his smile forced. "Thanks, honey, that's really nice." I watched as he glanced over his shoulder, his eyes scanning the room. I wondered who he was looking for, what he was hiding, what secrets he was keeping. We sat together for a few minutes, making small talk. Tom was distracted, checking his phone every few seconds, his answers short and vague. I tried to ask about his day, about his plans for the weekend, about the message from M, but he brushed me off, saying he was busy, that he had to get back to work. I left the office feeling more alone than ever. The days after my visit to Tom's office were a blur of worry and waiting. I tried to keep my mind busy, cleaning the house, baking bread, volunteering at the library, but the ache in my chest never left. I found myself jumping every time the phone rang, every time Tom's car pulled into the driveway, every time Lily asked, "Is Daddy coming home for dinner?" I started keeping a journal, writing down every detail, every late night, every missed dinner, every strange phone call. I wanted a record, proof that I wasn't imagining things, that I wasn't going crazy. Ruth called every evening, her voice a lifeline. "Any word from Tom?" she asked, her tone gentle. I shook my head, even though she couldn't see me. "Nothing. He's not answering my calls. He's not coming home." Ruth sighed, her voice full of sympathy. "You're not alone, Anna. I'm here, whatever you need." I tried to believe her, but the loneliness was overwhelming. One afternoon, as I was cleaning out the garage, I found another clue. Tucked under the passenger seat of Tom's car was a receipt for a hotel across town, dated just a few days earlier. The room was booked for two, the bill paid in cash. My heart pounded as I stared at the receipt, my mind racing. I thought about the message from M, about the way Tom had been acting, about the secrets he was keeping. I realized then that sometimes the truth is hidden in the smallest details. That night, I confronted Tom. "Tom, I found a receipt for a hotel room. Who were you with?" He froze, his face pale, his eyes wide. "Anna, it's not what you think." I shook my head, my voice trembling. "Don't lie to me, Tom. I saw the message from M. I know something going on." He looked away, his jaw clenched. "I can't talk about it right now." I felt a wave of anger, sharper than anything I'd ever known. "You owe me the truth, Tom. After everything we've been through, you owe me that much." He was silent for a long moment, then said, "I'm sorry, Anna. I need time." He left the house, the door closing softly behind him. I sat on the couch, the receipt in my hand, the house too quiet, the air heavy with things unsaid. I thought about the life we'd built, the love we'd shared, the trust we'd lost. I realized then that sometimes the hardest thing you can do is face the truth. And sometimes the greatest act of love is refusing to let yourself be erased. The next morning, I woke to the sound of Lily's laughter in the kitchen. I got up, made coffee, and sat at the table, watching her eat breakfast, her hair a mess, her eyes bright. "Is Daddy coming home today?" she asked, her voice hopeful. I smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "I don't know, sweetheart, but I promise no matter what happens, I'll always be here for you." She nodded, her arms tight around my neck. "I love you, Mom." "I love you too, Lily, always." Tom didn't come home that night or the next. He called once, his voice tired, his words careful. "I need some space, Anna. I need to figure things out." I nodded, my heart breaking. "Take all the time you need, Tom, but please be honest with me." He promised he would, but I knew better. As the weeks passed, I started to find my footing again. I went back to work, spent more time with friends, started volunteering at the community center. I found comfort in the small things, baking bread, planting flowers, reading stories to Lily at night. I realized then that healing isn't about forgetting what happened. It's about choosing to move forward, one day at a time. And I promised myself that, whatever happened next, I would never let myself be erased. A month passed, and Tom's absence became the new normal. I learned to fill the silence with music, with Lily's laughter, with the gentle hum of my own thoughts. I started to sleep better, to eat better, to find small moments of peace in the chaos. But the ache in my chest never fully left. One Saturday morning, as I was cleaning out the car again, I found the second phone. I'd almost forgotten about it, tucked away in a box in the garage, hidden under a pile of old jackets. I picked it up, my hands shaking, my heart pounding. I turned it on, the screen flickering to life. The wallpaper photo was still there. Tom and the woman, their faces closed, their smiles secret. I scrolled through the messages, the photos, the call logs. The evidence was overwhelming. I realized then that I couldn't keep pretending. I couldn't keep waiting for Tom to come home, to tell me the truth, to make things right. I needed to take control of my own life, to protect myself and Lily, to start over. That afternoon, I called Ruth, my voice steady. "I found the phone, Ruth. The proof. I can't do this anymore. I need to move on." She was silent for a moment, then said, "I'm proud of you, Anna. You're stronger than you think." I smiled, my heart full. "I'm ready, Ruth. I'm ready to start over." I met with a lawyer, a kind woman named Mrs. Patel. I showed her the phone, the messages, the photos, the receipts. She listened, her eyes full of sympathy and understanding. "You have a strong case, Anna," she said, her voice steady. "You deserve better. You deserve to be free." I nodded, relief and hope mingling in my chest. "Thank you, Mrs. Patel. I just want to move on." The divorce was messy, but I stood my ground. I refused to be erased, refused to let Tom rewrite our story, refused to let him take away everything I'd built. I fought for Lily, for our home, for my own dignity. Ruth was by my side every step of the way, her presence a comfort, her wisdom a guide. We celebrated every small victory, every step forward, every moment of healing. As the seasons changed, so did I. I found joy in the small things, baking bread, planting flowers, reading stories to Lily at night. I started volunteering more, helping women who had lost everything find their footing again. I joined a book club, made new friends, found comfort in the simple act of sharing stories. I realized then that healing isn't about forgetting what happened. It's about choosing to move forward, one day at a time. And I promised myself that, whatever happened next, I would never let myself be erased. The divorce was finalized on a rainy Thursday. I remember sitting in the courthouse, the sound of water drumming on the windows, the judge's voice calm and steady as she read the terms. Tom didn't look at me. He kept his eyes on the table, his hands folded, his jaw clenched. I felt a strange mix of relief and grief, relief that it was over, grief for the life I'd lost, for the man I'd loved, for the family I'd tried so hard to hold together. After the hearing, Ruth took me out for coffee. We sat in a quiet corner of the cafe, the air warm and sweet with the scent of cinnamon and vanilla. "You did it, Anna," she said, her voice full of pride. "You stood up for yourself. You showed everyone who you are." I smiled, my heart aching and full. "I just wish it didn't hurt so much." She squeezed my hand, her eyes shining. "Healing always hurts, Anna, but you're stronger than you think." Lily adjusted quickly to our new life. She made friends at her new school, joined the soccer team, brought home art projects and stories about her day. We created new routines, movie nights with popcorn, Saturday morning pancakes, long walks in the park with Daisy. I watched her grow braver, kinder, more confident, and I knew I was doing something right. Tom called occasionally, his voice full of regret. He asked about Lily, about my new place, about how I was doing. I answered politely, but I kept my distance. I knew that forgiveness was a process, that trust would take time to rebuild, if it ever could. One evening, as I was closing up the library, a woman approached me, her face familiar. "Anna," she asked, her voice hesitant. I smiled, trying to place her. "Yes, can I help you?" She hesitated, then said, "I was at your hearing. I just wanted to say thank you. You gave me the courage to stand up for myself." I felt a lump rise in my throat. "Thank you. That means more than you know." She smiled, her eyes shining. "You're stronger than you think, Anna. Don't let anyone make you forget it." As the years passed, Lily grew into a bright, compassionate young woman. She graduated from high school, went to college, and started building a life of her own. She called every week, her voice full of excitement and hope. "Mom, I got the internship. I'm going to be working at the hospital this summer." I smiled, pride swelling in my chest. "I'm so proud of you, Lily. You're going to do amazing things." She laughed, her voice warm. "I learned from the best, Mom." Ruth and I kept up our Sunday dinners, inviting friends and neighbors, filling the house with the sound of laughter and the smell of fresh bread. We shared stories, swapped recipes, and celebrated every small victory. I realized then that the greatest gift I could give my family was not my money, or my house, or even my time. The greatest gift was my example, the example of a woman who refused to be erased, who fought for her own life, who learned to love herself even when it was hard. Sometimes, the people we trust most are the ones who test our strength the hardest. I never imagined that a second phone, hidden in my husband's car, would be the key to a truth I'd been too afraid to face. But life has a way of showing us that our worth isn't measured by what we lose, but by the boundaries we hold and the love we fight to protect. If you've ever discovered a secret that changed everything, or if you've ever had to rebuild your life after betrayal, I hope you know you're not alone. I know what it's like to sit in the quiet after everyone's gone, to wonder if you did enough, if you loved enough, if you mattered enough. I know what it's like to feel the ache of old wounds and the hope of new beginnings, to want to hold on and let go at the same time. But I also know that healing is possible. That courage is a choice you make every day, sometimes in small ways, sometimes in ways that change everything. I know that you can be broken and still be whole, that you can be pushed out and still come back stronger, that you can be overlooked and still be the heart of your family. Would you have confronted your partner, or would you have kept the peace for the sake of your family? Have you ever had to choose between keeping the peace and keeping your self-respect? Tell me in the comments. I'd love to hear your story because sometimes sharing our pain is the first step toward healing. If this story touched your heart, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and share it with someone who might need a little hope tonight. Your support means more than you know. Thank you for listening and for being part of this family. Until next time, take care of yourself, and remember, even after the deepest heartbreak, you can still choose to begin again. And if you want to see what happens when a woman finally chooses herself, or if you believe in the power of second chances, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because the next story might just be the one you need.